Dirt roads to rock crawling, two-buck chuck to screaming eagle, moonshine to 50-year-old single malt. We talk about it all here on Wheelin' Wine and Whiskey with your hosts, Jason and Chris.
Welcome to Wheeling Wine and Whiskey, episode 83, on a remote, Studio KJ, or should I say Ultra
KJ
4J here. And Chris, how you doing this evening?
I'm freaking awesome.
That's great. And we have a special guest that has hosted us this afternoon/evening.
Yes.
And if you haven't figured out, Ultra4Jones is in the heezy, baby. Kevin Jones, how you doing? Welcome to the podcast.
Good. Thanks.
Good.
Thanks for having me. I'm just thinking about. I'm in the house, but really, you're in
my house. You're in my house.
I'm just home.
Get the F out.
Yeah, I'm just home. You're here.
We just showed up on his doorstep, and he reluctantly let us in. And it's been a great day. As we've said in the past, we like doing interviews in person if we can.
Absolutely.
And we're just making magic happen in these COVID times. And Chris and I decided to travel down south, and you were willing and able to have us host us here, Kevin. So thank you very much, you and your lovely wife, Mallory.
We're traveling before it's illegal.
Yeah, so here we are in the garage,
That's right.
sitting just inches away from the 518,
The car
that finished KOH last year, 2020. Or
Yes.
this year. It's still this year.
It is still this year.
As much as I want this year to go away, it's still this year.
Well, it's within sight. The end of the year is within sight.
Yeah, it is.
KOH was pretty much the only good thing.
It really was. It was one of the highlights.
It was
of
the last.
2020.
It was the last great event of the year.
Where it was
basically.
back in February, way back in February, last great event of 2020.
Shit.
But so we're here. We, like Chris and I mentioned, we wanted to get updates on the drivers that
That's right.
we featured on our podcast in the past.
Right.
And you're one of you were one of our first.
Yeah.
Well, you were one of our first.
I'd like to think I was your first, but I think really it was Arturo. But
Was it really Arturo?
well, I
was
think
our first?
you recorded him first, but you promised that you'd air mine first or something.
Or
like that.
something. I don't know what happened, but anyways, you're one of our first. You're still special. You hold a special place.
I really
in our,
appreciate it.
In our early podcast history.
I feel pretty honored. You guys have really
Pretty honored.
You guys really damn honored. You guys have interviewed some pretty amazing talent.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I feel super honored that you guys even still talk to me.
Well, hey, there you go. No, hey, we're just nobody, but we put on this facade that we might be somebody.
No,
but
but
we're really nobody.
Kevin, you're good people, man.
Yeah, no, it's
appreciate
great,
that.
and that's the whole thing. The whole Ultra 4 family, right?
Yes.
The camaraderie and everything, and that's the cool thing. And this podcast has enabled us to meet and interact with people that we had no business interacting with.
Right.
And here we are sitting in Ultra4Jones garage after wrenching on the car all afternoon.
Yeah.
And it's a full hovercraft right now. There's no axles underneath it. We are
definitely is not a roller.
No, it is not a roller. It rolled into the garage under its own power, and now it is a hovercraft. So Kevin, tell us about your. I know you don't like to call it KOH prep. Tell us about your journey to the hammers, if you will, and how what you're doing to get prepared. Or I don't know what to say anymore. You don't like to call it KOH prep. It's just
getting
going
ready
through the
for
car
2021
and 2021 KOH.
Yeah, I haven't done anything to the car since KOH other than use it and abuse it with you guys on Fordyce and a couple trips to the desert, and locally just a couple weeks ago at a little local speedway event. So other than that, it's just been sitting in the garage or sitting in the trailer, and I've been trying to get as much family time in as I can, because
family time's important.
Yeah, because as my wife likes to call it, this is now Hammer's season. So
It is Hammer season.
for most people, it's like Christmas or holidays, but for us, it's Hammer's season. So,
Hammer time.
lots of late nights in the garage coming up here, and lots of dollars spent and time wasted. So
It's not wasted.
No.
And what we tore apart today, everything looks like it's in good shape. Actually,
yeah, I was super stoked because I think about what this car looked like when I took it apart last year. It was still fairly new to me, and I hadn't really gone through everything. So what we saw today was best case condition. I couldn't ask for. I mean, we had one bent shock bolt. 0 twisted axle shafts.
No, shafts look good.
I mean, worn out ball joints, things that were to be expected.
Not for a lack of trying.
The lower links were bent.
Yeah, lower front links are bent, which is pretty gnarly considing they're 2-inch 250 wall.
I got a picture of that I'm going to post on the gram.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yep.
With a straight edge up against it, just to show how bent it
right.
was.
That's right.
But in my mind, literally, you're about 15, 18 grand ahead of the game right now of what the problems that we could have seen. So, your wife just joined us, so that's a good timing on that. So, yeah, we're doing good.
Yeah.
So we need to stop talking about the new engine you need and the.
Yeah. No, it's looking good. I mean, what we saw today, we just got the axles out. I'm still gonna pull the transmission's getting rebuilt regardless, and a lot of people have asked me like, well, what's wrong with it? Or to me, it's just so hard to get to, and in the big scheme of things, it's too cheap to not go through. I mean, with all the abuse you put it through, I couldn't even tell you how many times, hundreds of times, I probably shifted it from reverse to forward and then just mashed on the gas.
At throttle.
Yeah, and lots of throttle. So to me, the transmission's a no-brainer, but I don't have to do the transfer case this year. I'll probably redo the exhaust a bit. It's really loud, which is kind of brutal after.
It sounds rowdy, though.
It's
nice.
Pretty rowdy.
Angry.
Yeah.
Angry.
It's angry.
Just flat out angry.
So, because there's a lot of listeners on our podcast that are true, Ultra 4, KOH, everything race car fans.
Yep.
But we have a lot of listeners, too, that, know about Ultra 4, but don't fully understand what it's all involved and stuff. And to be an actual racer or competitor in this event, the pinnacle of off-roading, in my opinion, KOH, why do you go through all this and tear? I mean, your car was running today. It was fine. And most people would be like, okay, let's check the fluids. Let's grease everything. Let's wash it up, clean up the panels, and we're good for KOH. But I mean, literally, you took a car that was running and the axles are fully disassembled right now, front and rear, shocks off. You're talking about redoing the tranny. So, kind of walk us through that thought process or whatever. And this is coming from, the average Joe race team, no disrespect, but this is what people can relate to, right? This is what KOH is great about, is that 4,800 class, the 46, the 4,500 class, where people that work out of the garage, that have a normal day job, this is not their living, to go and compete at a race level, and you're doing it, but you take it to the nth degree, as with many other teams on that level. So just kind of walk us through that thought process of what you're doing to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward, or so to speak, at KOH.
Yeah, for sure. So I feel like, social media gives you a glimpse of everything. I follow racers that might not even take the wheels off their car and call it quote unquote prep.
Oh boy.
And then you look at somebody like Levi Shirley, whose car right now is literal chassis.
It's just chassis.
Literal chassis.
Just a tube chassis.
No. And he puts nothing to chance. Every single part that came off that car, he mailed back to the company that made it.
That's true.
And let them evaluate it.
Yeah.
Obviously that takes money to do that too, but kudos to him for going to all that effort and all that work. So I have to be realistic. I can't do that, but I certainly can take the wheels off the car.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking for that happy medium. I have no problems with my engine. So I'll do some things like I'll do a compression check on it. I know the oil pressure was good. I'll cut the oil filter open, and I'll make sure that, its vitals look good to me.
Sure.
But a lot of the stuff you just have to go through, and you ask well, why? It was running and driving. I honestly think this morning, if I started KOH tomorrow, the car could have finished. I mean, it's proven itself reliable to me. But as we took it apart, we found loose nuts. We found a bent bolt. Well, a bent bolt becomes a broken bolt. So when you take all the time and effort that it takes to get to KOH and the money that it takes to get there and the registration fees and all the effort, and then you convince your friends and your family to go.
Yeah.
I feel like I owe it to them and to my wife. Like, I said I'm going to go race KOH. I would be doing myself a disservice and all my friends and family if I didn't take it serious.
Right.
If you're going to spend 5 minutes working on the car, you need to spend 5 hours. And if you're going to spend 5 hours, you need to spend, 5 weeks.
5 days, 5 weeks, yeah.
So, to me, it's whatever stone you don't turn over is the one that's going to...
Well, and that's the thing. When we talked to you last year, you mentioned that how you did the research regarding the track, the other drivers, all that stuff, all that research that you did paid off, and this continues on through, the whole process. You starting today with tearing the car down, checking things out, being methodical, and it's a process, and you just can't wing it, I guess is what we're saying here. You have to have a plan. You have to execute on that plan and make it happen. And you're doing that. And that's what's going to make you successful in this process.
That's cool. I really hope so. I feel that way, obviously. I'm willing to spend the time out here and do it. But some people can just straight up get lucky. But in my opinion, and I think the best racers out there would agree, you have to do all the hard work and get lucky.
Yeah,
to have the day that we all want to have.
Of course.
So, I want to be lucky, and I want to go out there and be like, oh, that was great, but I have to put in the time. I really don't see any other way.
Well, and there's a couple things too that you brought up. So, it's not just you. It's, you've got all these friends and family that are committing to helping you. And you've got that weight bearing on your shoulders of, if, they take off a week from work, whether it's paid or unpaid, you go on this whole deal, right? And they've made a commitment to this operation as well. And you go out and, what happens. Stuff breaks, whatever. Something can happen. But
always an element of bad luck.
If you've done your due diligence beforehand and you're like, I've gone through this car with a fine-tooth comb, which you're doing right now, and you go out to the lake bed and whatever happens, at least you have the clear conscience of going, I prepared as best as I can.
Right.
And XYZ. You finished the race last year within time. You completed King of the Hammers that people are still searching that have done, several tries, and that's freaking epic. So, I get it, and I'm the same way. And then I just to put myself in your shoes, I want to know that every bolt and nut and everything is in top notch position. Situation. Everything is set when I take off from that start line. Because. Even just going out on trail riding, I'm like, okay, is everything good? And we're not racing.
And you're not going to be doing 100 plus miles per hour. Your buggy, you probably could, but...
No.
I can't not with do that water in the tire.
Not with water in the tire. But,
no,
but the point, but you're not going to be... Kevin's going to be doing 100
It's a peace of mind, right? It's a peace of mind that it gives you that, hey, everything's been... all the T's have been crossed, the I's have been dotted... I've prepared this car as best as I can, and let's go. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, there's enough variables out there without the mechanical stuff. So I just don't understand how you could not do. To me, what I'm doing, I feel like I'm cutting corners. When I decide to leave the engine in the car or something of that, I have still never hydraulically disconnected the brakes on this car. I just keep hanging the calipers from the chassis with
Really?
baling wire.
That's awesome.
I told the Reckless Wrench guys or whatever, they're like, "Oh, what else do you want to do?" I was like, "I'd really like to work on the brakes someday, but I just keep working on the gas instead,
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, man.
Yeah, the brakes work. No, it is. There's so many different components, but it's like for the average Joe four-wheeler, if they would lose their mind right now seeing your car torn apart like it was if it was their rig, right? And it's like this is because race car.
And I think what's cool is like, I mean, I'm no different. I was average Joe wheeler until I bought a race car and signed up for a race. So I'm no different. I think what changes is when you, like, for me, it's always been about a moment of like commitment, and for KOH, it's paying the registration fees.
Yeah.
So I just did that last week. For me, that's a mental shift of, okay, now it's on. Like, it's go time. Like, whatever you did or didn't do all year to get ready, now you have to do the work. And if this was just average trail car or my personal truck or whatever, like, there's always like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, we'll put it off. Like, like, oh, I'm still saving up parts, or I'm still trying to figure out how I want to set this up. Well, KOH is its own deadline. You have to rise to the occasion.
Right.
So you just figure it out. Like, people are like, oh, you just stay up super late every night and work on the car. It's like, well, yeah, I can't postpone the race.
No.
I've paid the fees. I've told everybody I was going to do it. I begged for sponsors.
Right.
Now I have to deliver. So
it's an interesting situation too with what the times we're in right now. We kind of need to just bring it up and just briefly discuss it. The unknowns. I mean, you mentioned that just a moment ago, but we are in a kind of an unknown time. I mean, the word is that KOH is going to happen. Is it? I mean,
you can't have no in your heart, Chris.
No, you can't.
I'm trying not to have no in my heart. I'm really not.
I love it.
But the reality is, all this stuff can be shut down in a blink of an eye. We just don't know. But I mean, you're still going to proceed forward with the intent that there's going to be a race.
You got it.
For sure. And just in case anybody's curious, like, if it gets canceled, I'll still be there. So if you want to come hang out.
Exactly. I said
watch me rip around the desert and trash my car, I'll be there.
And
We've been saying the same thing.
Be there too. Yeah.
We've been saying the same thing. Whether it happens or not, we will be there. So
can't shut the desert down.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't put anything past it.
I know, right?
But
be careful.
But God willing, we will be there. This is great. So talk about some of the, after completing the race last year and
this year.
Or I'm sorry, this year. I keep saying last year because I really
still
want
2020.
I really want this year to be over with. I just really want to get this out. Done.
I don't have my fancy
completing the race back in February this year. What did you learn from that? What kind of changed your philosophy from where you were a year ago now to where you are now, and after completing KOH the first time that you entered, you finished the race within time, which is like super freaking cool. And like I say, people strive for years to get that done if they can. So what's your philosophy going into this year, and just kind of talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, it came off of that race, and I was obviously jacked, super excited, and really looking forward to the rest of the race year, and then that all just fell apart.
Right.
So, certainly had plenty of time to think about, what we want to do and what the plan is and all that. And I really went into KOH thinking, well, we just want to get across the line. We just want to drag the car, even if it's midnight or 2 a.m.
Right.
I just want to get it.
Just get done.
I just want to complete every race mile.
Yeah.
I don't care for outside of time or whatever. So when we finished within time, I mean, it's crazy. Your first year, I mean, that makes people mad when I say it. So I don't usually.
No.
I mean, I talk to these other racers, and they're like, I hate you because you've been, they're like, I've been trying this for a couple of years.
Right.
I don't know what to say. Like I said, there's a huge part of it that's luck. So,
well, but again, like I mentioned before, your preparation, your research, your diligence, luck is a part, but there's other factors, dude.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we did our work and we got lucky that day. So that's cool. But I was telling Jason this off the air, I think, but at that local speedway event a couple weeks ago, this old timer that thought he knew everything or whatever, he was telling me all about how finishing KOH is an accomplishment and that should be my goal every year. And I completely disagree. I know people just try to shoot for like, I just want to finish every year I enter, but I'm not into participation trophies. I don't need to just keep going to KOH and just keep finishing.
You want to win.
I want to win. I want to be on that box. So, we not only did we finish, but we finished 19th in our class. So I only say that because I think a really good goal for our next finish, and I don't even know if it's going to be 21, but is a top 10. So that's where I've set my sights is a top 10 in 4,800.
Well, yeah. And I mean, considering what the struggles you had in 2020, this year, you had your power steering issue. How deeply did that impact? I mean, imagine if you didn't have those issues with your power steering.
Yeah. I mean, you can what if anything forever, right? Like I love all the stories when people write their race recaps and they're like, we were doing great until. It's like, well, everybody was doing great until something, XYZ. But I tried to do those post-race analytics and figure out what the power steering pump probably cost us. And I figured even at best 2 hours. I mean, you're just guessing. I have no idea.
Right.
But the winner of 4,800, the Lovell brothers, I think they were like 4 hours faster than us.
Okay. Wow.
So I have no ground to stand on when I say like, oh, if I had a power steering pump, I would have, we would have killed it or something. We would have done better. But I think even if we knocked 2 hours off, we would have been like 14th or 15th, instead of 19th. So if we want a top 10, we got to do a lot of things different.
Okay. That's honest and realistic.
Yeah. It's so. So you got. I know you don't want to call it prep. What do you want to call this? You're. I don't know what to call all this.
I'm working on my car.
You're working on your car.
Everybody, I strongly encourage everyone should work on their car.
On your car. Just go through your car.
Well,
go through your car.
I'm going to go work on my truck right now.
You should. You should. I was. Yeah. Well, that's a whole other story.
Prep is like, it's a trendy term. It bothers me because, like I said, for some people, they don't even take the wheels off. They might just like touch up the chassis paint, where they banged it against a rock and call it prep.
Yeah.
And then you've got Levi at the other end of the spectrum.
That's full teardown mode.
So
yeah.
I just think everybody should go out and work on their car.
Yeah.
And by working on
through your car,
you get familiar with it.
Yeah.
You see where fluids are dripping. You see where bolts are loose. You see where things are cracking. And you fix what you need to fix.
Well, you're right. And as a visual on your car, I saw you have every nut and bolt paint, color on it.
Right.
Torque striped.
Torque striped, which I've done on my buggy, which is super cool. It just looks cool. It looks like a race car,
That and safety wire, right?
Yeah, safety wire is great.
Oh, the safety wire on the Ford 9-inch was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can just, visually check over your car, but like you say, I mean, there was some bolts and stuff that we were taking apart today that were clearly bent that you can't see from just looking at, with a beer in your hand looking, oh yeah, that looks good. The torque stripe's still there. Well, no, the bolt's bent, and that could be a problem. And like you said something earlier today that was interesting. It's like a little bit of wear or slack in that movement is just like a tiny little hammer that just keeps getting to be a bigger and bigger hammer on that point, that stress point, whether it be a bolt, stud, whatever it is. And, you're trying to prevent any of those
little hammers.
Yeah, those little hammers at the hammers.
At the hammers. You got to keep the little hammers away from the big hammers.
Yeah. It's true. Any amount of play in something that should be tight, well, now you've got that motion, whether it's 4.5 or lateral or whatever, and
When you look at the wear points,
it just starts. That motion just continues on, and it's a tiny little hammer,
right.
And then it builds more play, and it becomes a bigger hammer.
Exactly.
And what happens when you hit things with a big hammer? They bend and they break.
Things go south.
Yeah, you've got to look for that stuff. Yeah,
So.
and then you don't even finish. So
yeah. One little issue can take you out of the race for sure. There's so many moving parts. So you got everything apart. So what did you find today that was like an aha moment for you? It's like you didn't expect, or was there anything? I mean, I know there was a couple of nice aha moments where we're looking at ring gears and they're in great shape. The backlash, everything looks good internally there. But was there anything that you were like, oh crap, I didn't know that was south?
I mean, every time you crawl around a car and you're kind of looking at stuff, we found a couple cracks in the chassis that I didn't know were there.
Okay.
I don't think they're on, tubes or intersections that are crucial, but I mean, it kind of shows you the strain that these things are under.
Oh, unbelievable.
Oh, they get beat.
Yeah. So there'll be a couple things like that I'll just keep finding. And as long as they're no big deal, you just wire wheel it up and lay a bead over the top and call it good. But I don't think, I'm sitting here looking at like what's around us. The back axle had a little bit of shimmer and glitter to the gear oil. So I'll look into that a lot harder. I'll talk to my gear guy and see if he's concerned. I know he did a killer job, Kevin Lowrance down in Anaheim, but I'll just see if he's concerned, because I honestly don't know if that's acceptable for break-in of those gears or if that's something I should worry about.
How long have those been in?
They went fresh for KOH, so.
Okay.
And I haven't changed that oil or pulled that third member since, so.
Yeah, you had quite a bit of a little struggle to get that third member out.
Yeah, we glued it in pretty good, and those studs in the housing are probably not all straight. So there's not much on this car that's straight.
There were no leaks, let's say that.
Yeah.
I noticed there was no spider gears in either of your axles. I don't know where those went.
Yeah, it's really funny. The Ultra4 community is very, very divided on what you believe in for differentials or lockers or spools. And people seem to be one mindset or the other, that they just run spools front and rear because there's no moving parts and therefore nothing can break and you're always locked together.
Yep. That's what I like.
Or you hate the drivability that comes with a spool, especially in the front, and you are a big believer in, lockers, whether they're ARB or Yukon Zips or whatever. So
Detroit.
Yeah, this car's got spools front and rear, and they are dead nuts reliable, but this car drives horribly. So when you get in the rocks, you just throttle through it and bounce off everything, and it works out. But in the desert, I really hate driving this car. It's a handful. So
what do they say, forklift?
Driving a forklift?
Yeah. Driving a forklift at 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, pretty much. I've never driven a forklift that fast, but it probably feels like this.
I've driven a forklift at 5 miles per hour, and it's scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so any other cracks or concerns or things that you're going to need to deal with before this car is ready to rock and roll?
It's pretty early. I know it looks really apart to you guys, but there's a lot more coming off it still.
Power steering. You got power steering.
Yeah, we got big power steering upgrades. PSC stepped up big time to help me out. So we're going to change from the old school like Saginaw P-pump, and we're going to go with a CBR style pump. So the whole steering system's getting a complete redo. I got to get the orbital out to get rebuilt.
So it's a good call considering what struggles you had last year.
For sure.
This year,
so,
this year.
Make a mistake one time, shame, it's just whatever, but make it twice. And
so, it was what, the last 30, 40 miles of the race, you pretty much lost steering?
Yeah, I think it was.
This is full hydro, people, so it's not. There's no steering box. There's no mechanical linkage.
And somebody out there is probably like, well, you can't lose steering in a hydro, like what? All I can say is It did nothing at idle. You could not move the steering wheel from idle to 3,000 RPM.
Oh my gosh.
The steering wheel would move slightly at like 4,000 to red line. So everything we had to do had to be 4,000 to red line.
Wow.
So in the desert, no big deal. Just downshift and crank on the steering wheel,
Right.
and it would all be fine. But sitting still in the rocks, it was miserable.
And there's definitely rocks at King of the
Just a
Hammers.
few.
Yeah, especially those last laps. So then you also cut out the bar right next to you and the passenger side. I don't know, what
Like
would you
door
call
bar?
That? Yeah,
Like-
between
Like a
the
door
A
bar
pillar
at the-
and B pillar or whatever you
Yep.
want to call it.
door bar between the A and B,
yeah.
kind of at the belt line there or whatever.
So you're raising that up because it was an issue.
Yeah, we had a conversation about, like, it'd be really cool to know the history of this car. And I know some guy named Lambert built the chassis back east, but I don't know if he built it as a trail car and then King of the Hammers came along and he started racing it, or if he built it specifically for King of the Hammers or what. But I mean, that dip in the kind of door bar, that's just very reminiscent of trail cars for ease of entry and egress. But it doesn't make me feel very secure in the car when the side of the cage is so low right there. It doesn't add to the comfort in the car. That's kind of where your knee ends up. The co-driver hates it. So we figured we'd raise it up. It'd strengthen the chassis a little bit. Clean up the car, make it a little bit more race car-ish, because I need to make new body panels anyway. So I kind of figured this was the time.
And then so you're doing all new body panels this
I
year?
don't know about all new, but certainly those body sides will be new, and then the whole car will get a graphic redesign.
Okay, so you're going to do a new wrap and
Yeah, I'm a little too budget minded to do a wrap. It'll probably be like spray paint, but
Okay.
we'll see how that goes.
So we got to give him some new stickers to make sure that our
Yeah,
stickers
the
are back
car
on
will
the
be. I mean, anybody that's seen it's just a collage of everybody's stickers. So I'm going to clean that up a bit. You're either from this point on, you're either a sponsor or you're not.
Well, there you go.
And if you're not on the car. So
Well,
I need to get a lot of.
I hid 17 stickers on your car. Just so you know.
I only found 16. So
Oh, there you go. There you go.
So yeah, I got a lot of cleaning up to do with the aesthetics for the sponsorship game. I mean, that's kind of my next big goal is trying to step up that side of it
Sure.
quite a bit.
Cool. Hopefully, we can still have our sticker on the car.
Yeah, I think your sticker's going to get a little bigger, actually.
Wow.
You guys drove
Wow.
3 hours to my house.
Oh,
today,
no.
so-
Hey, it's great. Appreciate you and your wife hosting us here. I do have to say, because Chris was asking on the way down about the Madonna Inn, and I asked him if he had ever been to the Madonna Inn and used the urinal in the men's room in the Madonna Inn. You've used it before, right? You know full well about that urinal.
I have not, but
You have not?
I've heard lots about
Oh, my
it.
God. How do you live freaking minutes away and never been there?
I need your keys to your car,
Yeah,
Mallory.
we gotta go down there
Road
tonight
trip.
and go.
Oh wait, you're
go
probably
check
the
it
only one
out.
that can drive.
So you've heard about it though.
Yeah.
So it's a waterfall,
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you're
pee into a
I've
waterfall.
seen,
Yeah,
I've
so-
seen videos of it.
So there's
women walk in
a
there.
full on like waterfall, and then you just you break this light beam like you're walking into 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
and the waterfall turns on, and that's the urinal.
yeah.
And so it's the funniest damn thing because even prior to going to Cal Poly, I'd been to the Madonna Inn, and you're using the urinal, and all these women come in
They
and
do.
looking at it because they want to see the waterfall and the men's urinal. Your wife's shaking her head. She's seen the urinal apparently in the Madonna Inn.
I feel like I should be a little bit worried about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And this was prior to cell phones back when there. So I can only imagine how many of those women walk into the men's bathroom at the Madonna Inn with
I'm just
with their
saying
phones
right
now.
If I
Phones
was
out.
in there,
But-
it'd be a game changer.
But I gotta say, after coming to the Jones estate here, he has one of the most unique urinals out back.
Hell yeah, he does.
I mean, it doesn't even hold a candle to the Madonna Inn.
Well, it doesn't have a waterfall.
It doesn't have a waterfall, but it's
it's still-
very, very unique.
It's badass.
I'm pretty proud of that. So for anybody listening, if you're building a house or a garage, I strongly suggest you plan ahead and put a bathroom inside or outside or something. But
especially if you're
because when you have a garage,
so when you have a garage and you
there's
drink
a lot of guys that come over.
Yeah.
There's a lot of beverages being consumed.
And next thing you know,
the urination needs to happen.
So,
so how did you solve that problem, Kevin?
I kept going out back behind the garage and just pissing in the dirt. And I'd look down and I'd see the 4-inch ABS clean out that was at the end of our black drain run.
Right.
And I thought, man, I should just piss in that hole. And then I thought, well, why not just bring that hole to me? So I put a 3-foot riser on our clean out, and then put a little Y on that and then a little slip cap. So you just go out back the garage and lift up the slip cap and
take care of business.
Take a piss and then put the cap back on, and it's great.
Anybody that's done plumbing, so it's just a Y, what's called a Y, W-Y-E, right?
Right.
That's on the top of this black 3-inch pipe there, and it's perfect height.
Yep.
You know,
a lot of planning went into that.
A lot of planning. That was perfect, and you just piss right in this pipe, and off she goes.
Boom. And it's very eco-friendly. I mean, it's a 0 gallons per flush. Yeah,
there's zero. It's
And
it's super
you're
good.
septic tank here, right?
Your wife's
we're on
over there
septic.
laughing.
Yeah.
I just had to bring that up because, like I say, we're just minutes down the road from one of the most famous urinals in the world, and I think you have the best urinal in the world here at behind the shop here. So
Heck yeah.
it's proven very, very handy. So.
all the things you learn here on the podcast,
I'm
Chris,
telling
you know?
Just never a dull
Just
moment.
when you think you got it figured out,
No.
something else comes up like that. Mind blown.
No, never a dull moment. As we said earlier in the show, we are sitting in Kevin Jones, Ultra4Jones garage, and this is, for a lot of people, this would be a dream garage. I mean, he has, a race car sitting in here. He's got, plenty of light. You always talk about having a well illuminated workshop, toolboxes, cabinets.
Don't forget the mill and the lathe over here.
I
Full
was
machine
getting to
shop.
that. I was getting to that.
Sorry, I stole your thunder. Go ahead.
Mill and lathe. This freaking mill apparently is so freaking heavy. He had no way to actually move it around safely.
Those are heavy.
So you want to talk about a little bit about your shop?
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, Dream Garage, you're right, and I don't take it for granted. I feel like I've been working my entire life to have the stuff I have. So I listened to this guy do a podcast recently, and he titled it "Must Be Nice." Those people that look at what you have and they go,
Must be nice.
That must be nice. And I admit I do it too. You see people that have things that you want, and you're like,
But
oh,
what
that
did
must
it
be
take
nice.
to get there?
But what did it take to get there? So I have been into tools and into cars and anything mechanical since I was like 13. So everything you see in here is a culmination of every paycheck, starting from when I had a paper route to worked at the hardware store to, first auto mechanic job and all the way up. So everything in here is a slow progression of building my dream garage. And
Sure.
I think, one of the things you have to do is like, you're never quite happy, right? You're never quite satisfied. Like I told you guys today, like we're looking at the stuff that admittedly it's cool. It's awesome. But I'm like, I need a TIG welder, like you always just go on to like the next
it's always
thing.
the next
Right.
thing. Yeah.
So yeah, it's great. We were fortunate enough to, kind of plan this house out a little bit, and I got the garage a little bit bigger in every dimension than a standard like tract home garage.
Sure.
And I've got every shop light that Costco ever sold, I think, in my garage. On the ceiling.
There's about 400 of
Yeah,
them.
there's quite
nice.
a few.
I like
There's
the
a lot
light.
of,
I'm
there's
all
a lot of
about
lumens.
a lot of lumens.
Is that like Torx?
No, it's way better than.
But yeah, I
Torx.
mean, like, I don't know. I look over there in the corner and I see the Lincoln Weld Pack 100. Like, I got that welder when I was 15 years old.
Uh-huh.
And I still have it, and I still use it. I mean, as long as the material's not very thick, like that thing's great. It's amazing. So I have a lot of stuff that it goes all the way back to my teenage years. So
That's cool.
yeah,
No, I mean this is a fantastic garage or shop. I mean, I compare it to my house in Livermore. You know, my garage is dark and tiny, and this is like it's half as it's like 1.5 times my garage in every dimension, and I'm like, I wish I could have this, and at some point. You know, it's just looking at the home you've built here, the land you have, and the plans you have for the area where my camper is parked right now. Pretty awesome. I mean, all my wife would see at this house is actually the inside laundry, because our washer and dryer is out in the garage, and she hates that. So,
yeah, my wife's over there nodding her head right now. Yeah, I mean, when we put this place together, we took everything we liked and everything we hated from every place we'd ever spent time in, and we just made sure the things we loved were in our house and the things we hated were not in our house.
And that's the beauty of building from scratch, right?
Yeah.
So, but you also incorporated elements from the original dwelling into your new dwelling. I mean, it was a complete teardown, but this is an impressive place, and I'm thrilled that you're both happy with what you've built here. But seeing in the laundry room, the wall from the original wood from the previous house here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool how you incorporated that back in.
Yeah, the original, what we always called the homestead, dated back to 1900. I mean, the earliest part of the house had no framing in the walls. It was just that like batten board or whatever they called it, where it was just the inside was the outside. It was all one. So a lot of that wood was just incredible. I mean, I know it's super trendy right now to reclaim everything. But,
reclaim lumber, yeah.
But I mean, this place was built with like redwood, and the grain was just crazy tight. I mean, just old growth, like true dimension, rough sawn.
Where a 2x4 was actually 2 inches by 4 inches.
So, I mean, as we dismantled the house, we didn't just bulldoze it. We didn't just pay some crew to like bulldoze it and burn it or something. Yeah. Like, we literally dismantled, family and friends, we dismantled the house that was here. And if the wood that came off was amazing, we saved it. And we had it on racks for years with always the thought that like, oh, when we build a new house, we're going to use it some way. So like you said, we used some in the laundry room as a sitting bench and kind of a decorative wall. We did a couple shelves in the kitchen. And then I still don't know what to call that thing we hung over the living room window. But it's cool. It's an old like floor joist that's got those giant circular saw blade marks in it.
Oh, yeah.
It's cool. It's got character.
Killer, so.
I call it character wood.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, yeah, it was a cool way to just kind of honor what was here.
That's super cool.
Seeing how we got rid of every inch of it.
Well, yeah, but onward and upward, and what talking about the garage and stuff here, and I mean, you work up for that stuff, and you create your own luck, right? You know, you have these dreams, desires, whatever. You figure out how to do it. It didn't come just one afternoon. You were showing us these picture books of these days and days of, improving the property and getting closer and closer to your vision of what you had and this home that you built today, and super cool. I mean, that's the American dream right there. The white picket fence, the dog, the daisies growing in the garden,
and that scary
chickens
bridge,
roaming in the yard,
scary bridge crossing from the road that I was a little afraid to
Oh my gosh.
across.
Yeah, the Dodge was scared to go across a bridge.
I'm afraid.
Plenty of room there.
So
my mother-in-law hates that bridge.
We got no rails on it, so it's just like you gotta send it.
When you're bringing a trailer in, you need like
I love it.
Every inch of that bridge.
I loved it
to get around that turn. So.
Kind of scared Chris a little bit, but he drives a Dodge. You know how that goes.
I think it's only killed 2 tires. So.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
So you got that going for you.
Oh boy, I got good tires. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, this place was, a culmination. I mean, it's like dream garage. I had no interest ever growing up. Like, I want to have property and weed whack, for hours on end and stuff like that. Like the only reason I wanted space was to do car guy things.
What are you talking about? You got goats, man. You're never going to have a weed whacker.
Well, they turn out to be a little lazier than you think. And so.
Lazy goats. And what are the goats' names again?
We started out with Walker and Texas Ranger.
Yeah.
And sadly, Walker is no longer with us.
Right.
But we figured we'd keep with the theme. So we have Jean Girard to keep Texas Ranger Company.
And we had to explain to Chris where those names came from.
Well, but he also didn't know who Travis Pastrana was.
Well, that's true, too. So...
Really?
Just...
I'm going to get run over backwards now?
We're going to back up.
Throw me under the bus.
Honk the horn and drive back over you. So, the great movie, one of the greatest movies, comedies of all time with Will Ferrell.
I've seen the movie.
Talladega Nights.
I haven't seen it enough to remember everything.
Yes.
I mean, it's not a Caddyshack or...
It's right up there with those, though. It's pretty damn close.
What's the Blazing Saddles?
Yeah.
I mean, I could recite those movies, but, whatever. Okay.
So, there you go. Anyways, I love it. I love the stories and the whole thing created here. So, getting back to the race car and KOH 2021... Which sounds crazy to say.
7 weeks away.
Yeah, which is a short 7 weeks away. Yeah, woofda. Same crew team going into this year that you had last year? What's going on there?
So kind of like I said, I don't know, registering for KOH is kind of that turning point.
the come to Jesus moment?
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh, we're going to do this again.
We're in.
We're voluntarily doing it. So I paid the registration fees for the car, and myself, you got to buy the USAC insurance and all that stuff. So just get that on the credit card and get it out of the way. But right after that, I send out the group text message to my dad, my co-driver, my crew chief, the guys that helped me, front axle guy, rear axle guy, fuel guy, whoever we had.
Right.
And just, hey guys, here we are. Let's go. If you're in, please let me know. If you're not, I'll start looking for replacements.
Sure.
Because we're just, I use the term beer and pizza kind of racing crew. I can't pay these guys. I'm hoping to have shirts made and be able to at least just give them a shirt this year.
Right.
But other than that, I'm asking these people to spend a week of their vacation time and their fuel and everything to drive down just to help me. Chase a dream. So
yeah, but there's. I've been on that side of it, helping out other teams. Art and John and Josh and them, and it's rewarding. It's fun. It's being part of that operation. Yes, there's a commitment, but being out there and being part of a race team. And watching them come into the pits and checking tire pressures or whatever you're doing, putting fuel in the car, tightening stuff, fixing something, whatever it is, it's fun to be part of that race. All that KOH is. So, speaking from somebody that is helping you out, I'm sure they all are part of that, thinking that, we're donating our time, but we truly enjoy this and it's a freaking blast too,
Right.
And I can speak to that. That was my exposure. Like I've said before, was my friend Chris raced 4,600 and every year it was a shit show. The truck was never ready. There was a ton of work to do. It was amazing that it left the starting line on time type of thing.
Right.
And any rational person would be like, why would you do this? Why would you show up and help, But every year I look forward to it so much. And I'd come home and just the amount of stories you had, it was awesome. So I do understand that, but I still feel very grateful that people are willing to take time out of their lives to help me. So.
Yeah, that's cool. So you've got the same crew as last year.
Yeah, I hope
Nobody's dropped out?
No, crew chief is there for sure.
Okay.
Seth is ready to kill it again. He said he needed some time off after KOH. He said he aged himself quite a bit.
There you go.
What's his regular gig?
He actually runs a nursery, like a plant nursery.
Oh my God!
Really?
So he's right there in my
he's a horticulturist.
world.
Yeah. There you go. So,
Wow.
but he he's just super dialed when it comes to organization, and
That's cool.
He takes nothing for chance, and so
Well,
it was.
organization is whether you're growing plants or building a race car or managing
Right.
a race car.
Yep.
It's just all the same. It's just plans and
The plants don't talk back.
So he was perfect at that, and like the reason I know that is because some of the crew members told me that they didn't really like him by the end of it, and and it's like, oh, then he's perfect. He's perfect for
Right.
the job.
Exactly.
Like, if everybody likes you, you're not doing a good job.
No.
I was really proud that he was.
Okay,
I'm not here to make friends. I'm
So
here to get shit
he's going to be
done.
there for sure. My dad, he was like, "Oh, am I invited back?" And it's like, "Well, of course you're invited back."
No, no, you're
I
not.
couldn't do any of this without my
Yeah.
dad. He put in a bunch
awesome.
of
Your dad's cool.
he
Your
put in a
dad's wicked
bunch of
cool.
hours last year at the 11th hour.
I'm disappointed. You said he shaved his pork chops.
Yeah, well, it comes and goes. He spent.
I was thinking of growing pork chops. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
He spent-
You should have started 3 months ago.
His whole career, he had a grooming standard. So now that he doesn't, he'd like, one day it's,
Yeah.
mutton
Just let it
chops, and the
rip.
next
I
day it's
love
a
it.
full beard
I
and
love
whatever.
it.
So he's just doing whatever he wants. So I think that's cool.
What did he do for a living?
He was a firefighter.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, he'll be there. Seth will be there. Same co-driver. And
Who's your co-driver? You got to give your co-driver a shout
he's
out.
not on social media. He doesn't.
Oh, okay. So don't
Really?
even, he's
He's
under the
just-
radar.
Who's not on social media?
I know, right?
He's under the radar. I love that.
I wish he was, because I get there and I'm explaining a bunch of things to him about other cars and the stuff, and
that he could have learned through
he
social
has
media.
no idea because
Oh,
he's
boy,
not paying
okay.
attention all year.
All right.
But,
What's
All
his
right.
name? Let's shout him out. Anyway.
It's Robert. Yeah, that's right. Robert.
Okay.
Robert.
but he kills it. He's honestly, like, when I decided to go racing, I instantly knew. I was like, I got to call Robert, because he's as mechanically inclined, if not more, than I am. He's a fabricator. He's an incredible dirt bike rider. So when it comes to reading the desert, he's really talented.
And he apparently knows about rockets.
And,
and then he's-
his
yeah,
day job
rockets.
is assembling rockets for
Rockets.
SpaceX or something.
Yeah.
So he applies a whole new perspective to the car. So he'll show up and he'll look at everything from, like, will this make it to space
Yeah.
point of view. So if a hose is rubbing or a wire's chafing, like, he will see it and he will correct it. So
And
it's
you've
a-
seen it a few times where all four wheels are up in
we're
the air.
trying to
So
get
you've-
into orbit.
You've
but
got rocket
yeah,
status.
gravity keeps bringing us back. So
How you gonna drive that thing with a rocket?
Rocket. So, so that's cool. So same crew. You're on track. What'd you say? 7 weeks away, Chris?
Six and a half,
7 weeks away.
We're close. I mean, it's.
I know.
It's going to be
Did
here
you guys?
before you know it.
Speaking of Levi, did you guys see his countdown timer?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
I know.
did.
Isn't
How
that
rad
great?
is that? Like,
Yeah,
You
he
need
had the-
one.
I
need
saw
a
it last
countdown
year.
timer. I don't
saw-
even know where you get a countdown timer, but I need a
you
You
countdown.
get them on Amazon.
Just
You can get them on
DM
Amazon.
him, he'll set you
Okay.
up.
Yeah. Yeah, he had that last year, and I thought, oh, that's
pretty cool.
pretty cool in your shop. And it's like, okay, I know what I got to do, and here the days start clicking off. It's intense. It's incredible, and there's many people in the same shoes that you are right now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Grinding, and you've got the comfort, like you were saying today, of hey, I already fixed XYZ last year. I don't have to re-engineer stuff per
Yeah.
se. Like last year, you were grinding and trying to figure out things. Where this year, you're just kind of going through and doing quote unquote maintenance. Right? I
Well,
mean,
and it's cool too. Like,
If
not
this
just.
is maintenance. I don't know what.
I mean, I think
I've never had the axles out of my car. I don't even know what my ring and pinion looks like.
I'm doing it wrong.
That's
Shit.
why Chris was asking where the spider gears were. He didn't even see your spider gears.
if I could go back in time and like redo careers or whatever, for sure, like mechanical engineering, because I love the like metallurgical analysis of all of this chaos and damage and bent bolts and just everything worn out and stretched and cracked, and to me that's just super rad. So that's a big thing to me, is just seeing all that stuff.
Well, the forces on these cars are incredible. I mean, anybody that's been there or watched the videos of just getting these cars slashing through the desert, through the rock sections, at ridiculous speeds, and it's like, how do they even stay together?
Well, I mean, these vehicles, and then of course the trophy trucks.
And
I mean, it's just insanity.
Well, the more you know about the physics and stuff, and actually physically driving the cars, the more it makes you nervous. If you're thinking about this stuff while you're driving, and it's car preservation, right?
Exactly.
So like what you talk about the prep and everything, what I was lacking last year was everything I took apart was from a used car.
Okay.
It had a couple hours from me on it, but I didn't really have history on the parts. So I would take something apart, like for example, I was showing you today the stub shafts for the Dana 60. Well, last year both 35 spline chromoly outers were twisted. And I didn't know, well, is that from me or did I inherit it this way?
Right, Did it come this way?
So now at least that I've gone through all these parts and now I'm seeing again for the second time, I can definitively say that was or wasn't like that. That is or is not related to my driving style.
Right.
So that, I feel like a huge relief just from that, just being able to see stuff and go, I replaced that bolt and it's bent again, or, that kind of thing. So that helps a lot for sure.
And obviously, when you replace bolts hardware, I mean, you're either replacing with as good as or better hardware, grade 8 or better.
Yeah, I've had some really interesting conversations. And again, I'm not a mechanical engineer, so I'm just applying a lifetime of being a car guy to stuff. But I've had conversations with other racers about how they're like, I don't even know if I'm getting the name of this bolt right, like an F911 or something. Because all I know is
Porsche.
It's like I don't know. Like all I know is going down to the local hardware store and buying grade 5 or grade 8, right? Like that's what most people.
Well, there's also mil spec.
Which it's funny because if you talk or listen to Wheel every weekend, he's like, I always think it's funny when guys talk about like, oh, I got mil spec this and mil spec that. He's like, you realize the government just buys the cheapest shit, right?
Well, it's the lowest bidder.
Yeah. So he's like, I don't know why everybody brags about mil spec because anyway, Ian, he's awesome. But, so I look at it like somebody was telling me like, oh, you got to put whatever, these F911 bolts for your shocks because you'll always bend shock bolts. And I scratch my head at that because your shocks should never be fully extended or fully compressed. So are you telling me your valving is so significant that it's bending a bolt? That makes no sense to me. So if you're bending shock bolts, your bump stops are in the wrong place. Right. Something is wrong to where your shock is now being forced to be a mechanical limit. And yeah, when it's being a mechanical limit, it's going to bend a bolt. But if your shock bolts are bent, something's wrong in your car design.
Right.
So I look at things from that. And maybe I'm messed up. I'm new to this stuff. But I don't think you need a lot of this exotic hardware, at least for my level. Now, if you're going Shannon Campbell speed, yeah, maybe you need exotic unobtainium,
unobtainium.
But
I love that unobtainium.
I think somebody at making 400 horsepower with 37-inch tires, I don't think I need unobtainium bolts.
So there was some bolts that we took out today that were coarse thread that you're going to replace with fine and stuff like that. I mean, there's some.
Yeah, there's always room for improvement there.
Right.
Like, I think fine thread just torques a lot better in general.
Sure.
Oh, it does. Absolutely.
And we talked
More
a lot about mechanical locking nuts, stovers. So
Yeah,
I'll replace all the stover nuts for sure. If any bolt shows any sign of thread wear, I'll replace that.
You know what stover bolts
I
are?
don't know what a stover bolt is.
Oh my gosh! Here, explain to Chris.
Most people just use a regular nut, right? That spins on all the way.
A jam nut.
And if you're going to, I learned a jam nut is a really thin nut.
It is a very thin nut.
But so if you use a regular nut that just spins all the way to the bottom with your fingers, you need to run it with a lock washer, right?
Uh-huh.
Or some other means.
Yeah.
So then the next step up is people will use
a nylock?
A nylock, which has the nylon resistance built into the nut.
Familiar
right?
with those, yeah.
But
Keep
those
it from
are
backing off.
Those are typically like a one-time. If
They're
you follow the
one-time
book, they're a
use.
one-time
Yeah.
use.
They're a
nut,
one-shot die.
which doesn't work very well for race car stuff. And then above that is a stover nut where it's mechanically crimped or dimpled to where it'll thread on to get started, but by the time you get to the end of the nut, you now have to use a wrench.
Yeah, and
So,
it's tight.
I know what those are. I've seen them, and I get it. I order a lot of stuff. From
Stover might be like a trade name. I don't know.
I
but
order from McMaster
There you go.
Car.
Oh, look at you.
A lot.
McMastercar's got a lot of great stuff.
McMastercar.com.
Yeah.
Looking for sponsors.
Look at you. Oh, wow. Dropping the sponsorship out there.
So I've seen I know what kind of nuts you're talking about. Yeah, I've seen
I like mechanical locking nuts
They're
because
good. Yeah.
they don't fail under like heat like a nylock would. They're more than a one-time use.
We use nylocks at the golf course, and you're right. They're a one-shot deal, but we're not dealing with racing speeds and high temps and stuff like
it's
that.
just
So
golf carts.
Golf carts, mowers.
wow, thanks.
It's
you just minimize.
It's all
my
about
whole-
chinch bugs and manganese nowadays.
I mean, you want to talk like zero-turn mowers? Like now, I'll get excited.
Hey, let's talk about chainsaws for a second.
Okay.
Because
my.
I know that's what. Oh wow! Now we got them all excited. So I
If I ever
found
show you my
out
scar.
this year that you were a what do I want to say?
Junkie?
Chainsaw junkie connoisseur of chainsaws. So and it relates to your trade. So talk about some of these. There's only one brand in your opinion still.
Yeah, right.
Which is
It's
one of the
Ford
superior.
or Chevy thing.
I agree.
Yeah, one of the
Steel is
superior
the
brands
best.
for sure.
Period.
We got here today, and that was one of the first things I wanted to check out was your brand new fuel injected chainsaw.
Yeah.
And that thing was rowdy when you fired it up. It sounded like a V8.
Yeah, I already regret.
cut my leg off.
We probably should have gone out in the yard and put it in some wood.
We should have.
Just so you could see the rooster,
Yeah.
the rooster tail of chips.
Yeah,
that comes
see
out
some
the back
chips
of that
fly.
thing.
I'm not allowed to operate chainsaws.
No, you're
anymore.
not. You cannot. Yeah, Chris has a scar over there that he's showing us right now. Yeah. That's why you wear chaps, ladies and gentlemen. Those chainsaw chaps work.
Yeah, so we have steel chainsaws at work, and they're typically like the MS 360, 361, 362, or maybe like 440s or something like that. But I got an MS 460 probably 12 years ago when I started falling trees and just loved it. Just incredible, like saw. And so I've been a chainsaw junkie ever since. And to me, it was no different than like hot rods because it's all about like horsepower and traction. But instead of tires, it's all about chain sharpening.
Sure.
Right.
So now you can make as much power as you can make your chain as aggressive as that power can handle. So instead of searching for, traction on a drag strip, you're just looking to dig that thing into a tree and see, how much wood you can rip out of it. So I think it's really cool. I wish, SoCal doesn't really have like hot saw competitions. But
Right.
I think those still timber sports things are pretty rad. I'd certainly love to do that. But then I heard Still was coming out with a fuel injected chainsaw, which I just thought was rad because my dirt bike went fuel injected, a decade ago and changed the game. So it was released in Europe and Australia, and you just couldn't get it here. And so I finally reached out to the guy in Australia that was not only buying them, but modifying them, hot rodding them, hot saws. And I was like, hey, can you build me one of these? And he said, yeah, for sure.
So he's got the Binford 6000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agreed to have him buy me the Still MS500i and then take a brand new saw apart and increase the compression and port it out and add in, a custom muffler and just do his whole nine on it. And I got it a couple months ago, and the thing rips. It's insane.
It is badass.
It's badass.
It is badass with a 28-inch bar. You got?
Yeah,
on that
I
thing?
just threw a 28 on that I had it. I've got a 32 lightweight Sugihara bar that I'm going to put on it, but I got to get some square ground chains, and then I think it'll be pretty much set.
So one of
Has it
my
been dynoed?
No, so
dynoed.
I've actually got a friend that has a small engine dyno, like for go-karts, and I thought, how rad would it be if you dynoed
up the-
chainsaws? But
I got a 40 horsepower chainsaw. What do you got?
So my buddy Tom, his dad was a logger for years, and his chainsaw shop is incredible. The different types of chains, not just to mention the motors and bars and all the other accoutrements that go with it, but he has some wicked chains that, I mean, literally the teeth are like 4 inches apart.
Yeah,
which I mean, it's just
said something about that before.
And how they're cut and the, everything. And he goes in there and I mean, that thing was throwing chips like a frickin', wood chipper. It was just insane.
Like a woodchuck.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just chainsaws are cool. One of the most dangerous tools, as Chris can attest
I'm
to.
very aware of that.
But when you get really into it, like you are with the, it's amazing. The different chains and how you set stuff up and different woods, obviously, right? Hardwood, softwood, everything. Yeah. Is it green? Is it dry? And man, there's a science to the whole thing, and that's freaking badass.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a mix of science and art. It's rad. So I mean, most people are stoked if they put the chain on the right direction.
But,
when you take the time that it truly takes to sharpen a chainsaw properly, and like you say, for the softwood or hardwood, it makes an incredible difference. And when you back it up with the horsepower to pull through it,
it's a saw that will.
It's stupid. I mean, I've cut firewood with people that just that I can't imagine like using the saw that they're using to just labor through this wood. Like, I'm an impatient person, so I think having a saw that can just buck through anything instantly is
pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's all you got? I can cut through that tree in 3.5 seconds.
So, as far as I know, out on the Rubicon in the big sluice, that
the old squeeze tree?
The squeeze tree is still there.
Is it? Well,
yeah. So we need to get up there first melt of spring,
Ultra4Jones,
and come in from the Tahoe side and harvest that tree with your
I
your
heard Tyler talking about it on the snail trail, obviously, and he said there was some group or committee or something talking about like what they were going to do with that tree, if they're going to make a bench out of it or this and that, but
they should.
It would be really cool to be a part of something like that. I don't have any perspective on the historical nature of that squeeze tree, but I mean, anything like that would be rad. Tyler was talking about getting out his little Poulan 18-inch or something like that.
It's quite the saw.
I think it's just smaller than my wife's chainsaw, but I mean, it's probably cool.
How do you feel about that? So we need you and your saw. We'll probably need you and your saw up on our
Adopt-A Trail. Yeah, you're welcome to come to our Adopt-A Trail. That's a fun one.
I know I'm not part of a 4-wheel-drive club or yours in particular, but I would love to do some trail maintenance days.
Well, we always, every year we have some significant trees to cut through, and some years are more than others.
The pickup sticks
the year that there's like 3 trees on top of each other for the next...
That was unbelievable.
300 yards.
We didn't have big enough saws.
No, we didn't, but we made it happen. Somehow we made it happen with what we had. But anyways, you definitely would have fun because we're out there with saws, toe straps, and our rigs cutting and jerking trees off the trail and stuff.
Unimog with a toe strap that unreal.
But I back to that tree at Rubicon, I would love to see, and I've had some special requests for some rounds out of that tree. Just like it's a significant historical tree. Maybe not as significant as the juniper was that went down in the Little Sluice,
right?
Because this is a pine, but. Anyways, regardless, it's part of a key tree on the Rubicon Trail, and it would be cool to harvest some wood and make a bench, for Rubicon Springs, and auction off some of the other wood for, the Rubicon Trail Foundation, whatever. But yeah, it would be great.
Well, if they cut them into like plates.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And then paint on them.
Exactly. Or wood burner or whatever, some sort of an etching or whatever. Yeah. That'd be kind of killer.
Yeah, exactly.
You know how they do those, like if you go to some national park or visitor center, they've got the round cut out of some giant tree.
Sure.
And they label the rings of the tree with like what year that was and like
Right.
what happened.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So like you could take like a round out of that and like label the rings like First Jeepers Jamboree, 19 whatever.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
you know,
you're
I mean,
right.
you could label what happened during those rings. Or something.
That's a great
So that
idea.
could be kind of. I mean, you could do a million cool things. You could take
shit, yeah.
You could take an Alaskan mill up there and cut some slabs out of it.
Man.
And,
Yeah, that
Who
would be
knows?
cool.
That's cool. That's cool.
So, yeah. Okay, so chainsaws, race
Yeah.
cars, just basic stuff here at the Jones.
Killer shops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else you got, Kevin? Anything else you want to talk about in this prep?
yeah.
We're probably going to call you on the phone right before
Sure.
to make sure that you're ready for KOH,
And then,
and
of
I
course,
gonna go
I'll
through
probably
his checklist.
decline the phone call because
Okay.
I'll be.
oh shit!
I'll be
well, then we'll
knee
catch you.
deep
We'll
in-
catch you on
yeah.
the
Yeah, on the
lake
lake
bed.
bed.
Absolutely, like we
mean,
did last year.
Definitely.
those that remember last year, like the day before we left, we didn't have drive shafts, and 2 days before we left, we didn't have an axle in it, and so hopefully it's not like that. But I know
It all worked out.
Yeah, I know that we can overcome whatever. But no, I think the big thing. I mean, I briefly touched on it earlier. Is if you're expecting us to just go down there and try and finish this year, that's not the goal. So we didn't qualify last year because it cost $250. And I was already out of money. Credit card was maxed out and all
Right.
that stuff. So this year we're gonna pay the $250. I already did actually.
Sweet.
So we're gonna qualify because
Okay.
starting 85th was a huge detriment.
Yeah.
So hopefully we just even have a clean qualifying run and we can
Okay.
start like top 30. I don't know. And then I'm gonna give it hell. I'm gonna try to figure out what 100% is and bring it down 5 or 10 from that and hope for the best. So we're either going to be a top 10 or we're going to be a DNF this year.
Checkers or wreckers?
Yeah.
If you're not first, you're last.
Right. Hey, there you go. What movie is that, Chris?
I don't know. Second place is first loser. Anyway,
Talladega Nights. Come on, Chris.
I know you can
Get
do
it.
it, man. You have the.
No, this
you have
is
the
great.
spirit.
And I'm realistic. This may be a complete, failure this year or something, but
But you know what?
I got to
least
set goals.
You've already got one under your belt, so that's got to make it
Hell
easier
yeah.
going into this year, knowing that you can do it. The car can do it because it's already been there, done that, and
Oh, not in this condition.
and you're way ahead of where you were last year at this time, and it's just kind of just going through the motions here, and it's cool following your story and seeing. Hey, there's a lot of people out there that are like, what if? How do I get racing and stuff? Well, you can do it too.
Absolutely.
It just takes a little commitment
a lot of commitment.
and an understanding wife and
Yep, that
and
one's
make it
pretty
happen
Or
and
no wife.
and get out there. Yeah. And so, it's super cool.
Yeah, it's not been easy. Like anybody that's maybe watching from a distance is maybe doing that like, oh, it must be nice or something. But
Yeah.
it has not been easy. It's been crazy expensive. It's been a ton of stress.
Well,
It's not easy on a relationship, even though my wife's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time. And
I think one of the biggest misconceptions, even with the top teams, is that they're fully getting compensated by sponsors and stuff. And you have sponsors, and definitely they help out. But I mean, there's a lot of not only your time but money going out to fund the car, and the sponsors help and make it easier, soften the blow, so to speak. But it's not like, oh my God, you got all these stickers on your car and you got this full ride sponsorship where you're making money off this deal by, I think
Making it rain.
a lot of people don't understand, even like I say, like, the Campbells and stuff like that, they, oh my God, they're fully getting compensated. Well, no, it still costs money to race.
Absolutely, it costs money, and even the Campbells still have a day job.
Yeah.
I think the way, for me personally, you saying soften the blow, I think that describes it perfectly.
Yeah.
I don't have anybody that's given money to the race effort. I just have companies that have stepped
Chris
up.
left $5 on your workbench over there,
sweet.
so that's pretty cool. So
Yeah, but his dinner cost me 10.
Oh, shit. Hold on. Let me set that up. I told you I'd pay.
So, I mean, yeah, I have some amazing companies that have stepped up. And this doesn't need to be like a plug spotlight or anything. But I have some great companies that I truly believe in that have stepped up to soften the blow.
Yeah.
They're either offering their parts at a discount or in a very few circumstances free parts. And that really does soften the blow. So I mean the dream is of course to have title sponsors and to get that blow softened a lot. But that's not happening yet. So I'm trying my hardest with race results if we're ever allowed to race, and
we're gonna race
and playing the social media game, and helping those companies provide a return on their investment. But
sure, that's very cool.
It's going to be a long term game.
Yeah,
so we're all in it.
Well,
together.
I'm looking at you got a very well developed marketing card here. That's 8.5 by 11, glossy.
Which has a picture of you, but not
cardstock.
a picture of me.
Oh, there is a picture of me on here. That's awesome. That just I'm going to hang this up on my wall here. But no, this is good. It tells about your story and the specs of the car, all your social media handles, and all your progression here. I mean, that's pretty cool marketing. And there's a whole we could spend a whole nother podcast on how to go about
promoting your brand
exactly, and marketing and social media posts, and holy smokes, it just goes on and on.
Yeah, I don't think he's even doing it anymore, but there was a guy doing a podcast called the Sponsored Rider Podcast.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And I listened to every one that he put out, and a lot of it is he brings on industry folks, and they talk about what they spend their marketing budget on, and what they're looking for out of people. And so, I mean, all those nights in the garage out here, I was like, well, I might as well get an education on this while I'm doing it.
Yeah,
so,
right.
I got some tidbits out of that, but a lot of it is just it takes time and it takes work. And
well, it is.
Well, everything does.
Yeah. And you can't just walk up to a sponsor and go, "Oh, I got a race car. I'm racing KOH. What do you got for me?"
Yeah.
And they're going to go, how are you going to help us?"
Yeah.
It's got to be a mutual relationship,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Jason and I are realizing that too.
Yeah. Well, no. Yeah. As a podcast,
Yeah, for sure.
we and we want to represent, or we're not going to talk about a product that we don't believe in 110%.
Absolutely.
So
I think it was Lauren Healy in his Talent Tank interview where he talked about he learned the hard way.
he did. He mentioned that.
Yeah, about taking free or money.
Hey, try these parts on your car.
These parts, and they cost him race results.
Exactly.
So I really, really took that to heart. The only companies that I apply for sponsorship with are companies that I want to run their parts.
You want to mention any of those companies, or to update your, maybe get some solid sponsorships to soften that blow more?
And COVID, as much as it sucks in general, it's not been great, because whatever agreements I had with some companies for 2020, I've started trying to renew those agreements for 2021, and unfortunately, a couple of them have said, COVID hit their company really hard.
Their marketing budgets are down.
Their marketing budgets are chopped.
It's been a bloodbath, dude.
It's been hard.
It's a bloodbath.
PSC steering has.
You got brand new PSC parts sitting out here.
I've got a box
workbench
of stuff from Tom Allen.
That's sweet.
He saw what happened at 2020, and he's like, I want you to run my stuff and have good results. So that's huge. Jazz Products helped me out with some fuel products last year. I still need to secure them for 2021. There's a local company to me, Freedom Ropes.
Yeah, we talked about Freedom a lot.
Yeah, they're super cool because they're huge advocates of off-road use, and they've been fighting for the dunes big time.
Pismo for sure, yes.
Yep.
What do they call their group that goes out?
The Jerk Pirates.
The Jerk Pirates.
The Jerk Pirates.
The Jerk Pirates. That's
super cool.
I'm not gonna. No, I'm done. Okay, go on.
Well, there's like Pirates of the Rubicon, but when you got to the dunes, you need a jerk to get unstuck.
That's true. That's true.
It's the jerk
It makes sense.
It does make you smile a little bit.
I insert Tyler's laugh
Arg,
Yeah.
arg.
here. Insert Tyler's 12-year-old laugh here.
Odyssey battery.
Sorry.
No, it's good. Odyssey Battery was one of those companies that was hit pretty hard with budget, but I just believe in their batteries so much that
They are great batteries.
I mean, I'm just going to buy them anyway. So
Yeah.
whatever. If they can help
Got
me out
them in
the
my
future,
rig.
I've
that's
got a
cool.
7-year-old
Jeep.
Odyssey in my
Yeah.
Jeep. It's bulletproof.
Yeah.
The Raceline wheels, I think I
So
did the
good.
math between the race car and my
boy.
F-250. I think I own like 14 Racelines.
Holy smokes.
And I've only killed one of them ever, and it's from driving on a flat. So I believe in Raceline. I hope they stick around forever.
Right on.
Yokohama, I'm really hoping to, again, it's like, I like that tire. I've had really good, like Chris pointed out today, he's like, oh, you got a bubble in this sidewall. I don't know when that bubble showed up. I've tried to kill that tire. I don't know how many times. We ran Fordyce on that tire. We pre-ran KOH on that tire. Like, that bubble should make you concerned, but it doesn't really seem to care.
Well, if
Doing
you were
fine.
driving at 80 miles an hour with a 5,000-pound trailer on your or 5,000-pound camper on the back of your truck, I'd be concerned. But
Yeah.
a race car, I wouldn't be
Yeah,
worried.
not that big a deal, right?
Yeah.
Too concerned.
Yeah, Yukon gear and axle. I've run so many of their, like we said, we didn't find any twisted axles. Or
Impressive.
anything like
That was impressive.
The gear sets look flawless. So, I mean, yeah, there's going to be little stuff like I'll replace or repair the super joints.
You're pulling the first axle shaft out of the front axle today, and you're like, "Are the splines going to be twisted or not?" And I'm like, "No twist, no twist." Got it.
and not for a lack
Optimistic
of effort.
here.
Yeah.
It was great, and knowing how you drive, that was impressive.
I mean, just watching him on
because you
Fordyce.
saw in this car, there's just an on-off switch for the gas pedal. There's
Well,
no,
yeah.
there's
Yeah,
no-
it's
either
a
go or
mil.
not.
Yeah.
It's actually a mil spec.
mil
toggle
spec
switch. Yeah.
toggle
Well, we're gonna
switch.
go
Yeah,
there.
you just flip it
Yeah.
on and off.
Yeah.
So.
It's full speed, stop.
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Mallory? You good with that? Do you agree or disagree? Yeah, she
likes
agrees.
it. It's- every time the car hits rocks, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Just throw your debit card up on the dash.
Yeah.
No, I'd fly right off. Yeah,
That's Arturo's line.
Yeah,
Never
he should
mind.
drive faster. It won't stay there.
It won't stay there. He uses Gorilla Tape.
Right on. Well, that's very cool.
That's cool. So, yeah, I don't know what else you got to say here. I mean, we could go on and on.
No,
but
I know we could go forever.
we are going to follow up with you to
Cool.
see when
Yeah,
you start
perfect.
putting shit back
Perfect.
together. Now that we got everything,
Yeah,
torn
we
apart.
did make the joke that like, it comes apart really easy.
It
right?
does. And I am glad we were here today. I'm glad Chris supervised you and I taking the car apart. I'm glad you you allowed me to work on your car because that was super fun.
Everybody
for
needs
me. I love getting
supervision.
my hands greasy and getting involved. And
I'm the adult here, by the way.
yeah. There you go.
The oldest person
Oh,
in that.
okay.
in the, room.
The elder. Yeah.
So I
did a
was
great job.
definitely had to supervise.
You did keep our glasses full of,
hell
of
yeah.
liquid today, so you did do that. But no, great day here at the KJ studio.
Casa de
On. Yeah, no, I mean, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your schedule and making the drive down here. So
Oh, yeah, we got nothing going on.
means a lot to me.
We got nothing going on.
No, not at all.
Nothing going on.
Hospitality was
You know.
incredible. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks
you
to
opening your home.
Mrs.
Yeah,
Ultra4 Jones,
Mrs. Jones over there.
the hostess with the mostest.
Mrs. Jones.
The
Isn't
better
that a
looking,
song?
better looking half of the operation.
Yeah, that's really the only reason you
Really
guys came to
is.
visit.
That's really the only reason. Gee.
That's what I say. She's the only reason I get invited anyway.
I told Chris, I said, let's go down and see Mrs. Jones. I mean, Ultra4 Jones. So,
All right. So
hey,
on that note,
very, very cool. Anything else? You got a little old elk left in your glass there.
yeah,
That's good.
I think we got some more discussion to
we
do later.
we
Yeah.
do.
No, it's,
Well, cool, man. Well, hey, we will follow up before KOH, and definitely we're going to hit you up on the lake bed.
For
too.
sure.
So the story will be continued along with the other Ultra4 drivers that we're following. So it's been fun. I think you are one of our first.
Yes.
So you always have that
Place in our heart.
place in our Wheeling Wine and Whiskey heart. So
And I'll stalk you forever.
that's right.
Oh,
That's
geez.
right. So, anyways, totally appreciate it. Great stuff. Love, just telling the story
Absolutely.
of the Ultra 4 racers,
The progression.
and it is. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So, Chris, you got anything else? Kevin, you got anything else?
We got to continue on a little bit here. We got.
What do you got?
Well, we just need to kind of wrap up. And,
Oh wow! Look at, I feel like what's going on over here now? We're I was getting ready to wrap this thing up, and he's like wants to extend this out. What do you got?
well, I just want to say,
Oh, the Vegemite. Do we want to do the Vegemite right now?
the Vegemite.
We should do the Vegemite right now.
Now or never.
Oh gosh. Okay, so you've never had Vegemite before.
No.
Okay.
Just know it from the.
So
Men at Work
Chris
song.
and I, so our friend.
Oh, wheat thins.
And
All
I
right.
don't. Oh, that's perfect. I don't have. I don't know his name, but he's from Ramped Customs in Australia. He's got a great page. On Instagram, you're following him.
It's ramped RAMPT.
Yep.
_ customs.
That's correct.
CUSTOMS.
That's correct. And so he reached out to me because Chris and I talked on a podcast, talked about Vegemite, and I had it before. Chris had not. So he says, "Hey, I'm going to send out a jar for you guys to partake on the podcast." So Chris had it last night. I had it last night for the second time in my life, and we wanted to bring it down here for you guys to share. And it's a unique substance, and I'm going to leave it at that. You guys taste it, and we want to get your reaction here on air. Chris, you did a little homework on that this morning and found out that it was from brewer's yeast, I believe, brewer's yeast, and with some vegetables. And you guys go ahead and try it. We've already tried it. Here we go. So KJ's in right now. Ultra4Jones.
Let me describe it visually.
Yeah, here you go. Because what does it look like to you?
It looks like the chicken shit that's smeared all over my driveway.
You do have a lot of chickens. And it's a thick, tarry-like substance. And then what are you getting for taste? Oh, wow, you're going in. And look, Mrs. Jones. Oh, she's trying to figure it out.
She's
salty.
She hasn't gagged yet.
Very salty.
Very, very salty. It's extremely salty. I mean, it's like my heart doctor would not approve of this.
Oh, no,
I can't imagine.
This would be bad for me.
They eat this voluntarily?
Yeah, no, this is like a major thing. They put it on bread. It's like a sandwich, a Vegemite sandwich. You've heard the song.
I've heard the song.
Yeah, we've all been there. But it is. It's a spread, and it's nutritious. I don't know about the salt. One time's enough.
You got any words for it?
Yeah. Well, how would you describe it, Mallory?
I don't even know.
But it is.
How about unpleasant?
The first thing that grabs you is the salt, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like a salt lick.
So Mrs. Jones says one time's enough.
One time's enough. And I revisited it last night, and I was like, woof. That's why I mean, it's got to be an acquired taste. But if you grow up with it, it's like, okay. But that is from Australia, from just right down below, right below us, right here.
Land down under. So we're gonna leave the Vegemite with you.
Like squirt cheese gone bad.
So we're spreading the love.
And you did it. You had no gag reflux or anything.
I'm pretty tolerant.
What did you think of it?
I just kept waiting for it to get better, and it didn't.
It's definitely acquired, right?
Yeah, I was like, well, I must be missing something. I'll take another bite.
I love it.
no,
Charles,
It's still not there.
our friends in Australia, Charles, Ramp Customs, and who's our other guy? And
Aaron.
Aaron?
Yeah.
In Australia. We love you guys. Vegemite definitely is an acquired taste, but I'm so great that we get to share this. And I'm gonna this bottle is gonna
keep going.
jar is gonna keep giving.
Yeah,
because I'm gonna put it in my camper and we're gonna bring it out at campsites and let people.
Here we go.
I think,
elk and
I think there'll
Vegemite.
still be plenty left at KOH.
There will be.
I hope we just
Yes, KOH. That jar is definitely coming to KOH.
Wouldn't it be funny if Vegemite sponsored us?
Oh my God, that would be awesome. Throw the Vegemite.
I won't be applying for that sponsorship.
You won't be applying for that sponsorship. All right, so we did the Vegemite.
What'd you say? Who bought the company for 430? Didn't you do?
I did some research. I can't remember the name.
It was like 430 million.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a big money in Vegemite.
Well,
Apparently.
yeah. I mean, this is legit stuff, and it's just.
But
it's a different taste. I'm not knocking it, but
it says right on the jar it's going to increase vitality. So
yeah, well, so you got that going for you.
I'm really hoping that's
it says virility.
Virility?
No, it says vitality.
Vitality.
I think it overcomes vasectomies.
Chris, wow. I don't know, but it looks like something like really dark grease.
Yes, maybe you could use this gear oil.
Look at.
Maybe you could. Yeah, maybe like when you need to redo your RCVs.
Yeah, exactly.
RCV
That could be the new secret RCV grease right there.
Wow.
Burfield /RCV.
All right, so we've done the Vegemite. I just want to give so listeners, we are a strong listener base. I want to make sure everybody understands that we are Jason and Chris at wheelingwineandwhiskey.com. If you want to send us emails, that's how you reach us, Jason or Chris at wheelingwineandwhiskey.com. If you feel like reaching out to Lorenzo, remember he's Lorenzo at wheelingwineandwhiskey.com. You can also catch us at Instagram, at Wheeling Wine and Whiskey. And how else?
Well, hey, 5-star review. Give us a 5-star review. This is the time of the year for giving.
Give
so
back
if you
to
want
us.
to give, and it's super cool that we have listeners sending us gifts like this. I am. A year ago, there was no way I thought anybody would want to send us anything, and now we're getting these gifts.
A year ago, we had 400
Lorenzo's
followers.
getting gifts.
400 followers.
Yeah, and so I truly appreciate it. This is super cool. We're sharing the experience here with our friends that we're interviewing, so that's super cool. But yeah, you want to give back. 5-star review helps us out on Apple. Even if you don't have an Apple device, you can log on the World Wide Web there. And give us a 5-star review, quick couple lines, and, it's great. So, Kevin, you had something else.
I do. You mentioned giving back. I'm going to be doing a Instagram giveaway.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So, a little while back, I did a little survey. I'm at like 1,540 followers or something.
Okay.
And I don't want to play the, followers make me feel better about myself, but it directly translates into sponsorship opportunities for me. So when I hit 2,000 followers, I'm going to be doing a ride giveaway in the car. So my goal is to hit 2,000 followers before KOH.
Okay.
And with any luck, we can do maybe some pre-running with a follower.
All right.
But I'll do whatever it takes. If I have to make a special trip somewhere in SoCal for a ride giveaway.
Sweet.
That's what I'm going to be.
So what do you have any details of this contest yet of how to enter, or what do you got to do?
Once we hit 2,000, we'll probably do some sort of, like the post, tag some friends.
Well, you need to do that now to get
I know
that thing up.
It's going to grow a little bit organically,
okay.
But I seem to get a lot of interest. People like the Instagram stories from the late night sessions. So I'm hoping it just kind of grows organically. But when I hit 2,000, we'll definitely do a like the post. Share it with a couple of friends, and then I'll just let a random number generator pick it. And hopefully it's somebody in California or
that's coming to
KOH or something, and we can make it happen.
Right.
So
cool. Definitely.
Yeah,
we'll continue to follow this. Absolutely.
So what is your IG handle there?
Yeah, all my social media is based around Instagram. So it's at Ultra4, 4 is in the number, Jones.
Yeah. Very simple.
Sweet.
ULTRA 4 JONES.
That's it.
That's it. Ultra4Jones.
Boom.
Look them up. like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Give him a 5-star review too.
That's right.
If you can figure out how to do that. And
or just slide into my DMs.
Slide into the DMs. I love that. Slide into the DMs. But yeah, it's cool. It is amazing. We've been trying to wrap up this podcast for the last 15 minutes, but it is amazing how you can connect on social media through. I have DM'd a lot of people that I had no business talking to or anything, or had no reason. And, it's like, hey, I got this podcast, would you like to be a guest? Or, hey, I seen this car that you're building. What part is that I'm looking at in this picture? And it is so cool that people respond and go, oh, yeah, I got this part here. This is who you need to talk to. Or, yeah, I'll be on the podcast or whatever. I mean, the networking that you can do through Instagram is pretty freaking incredible.
I'm doing it wrong then, apparently.
No, you're not doing it wrong. You're doing great. But it is great, and you can buy followers and have 5,000 followers tomorrow,
he
Kevin.
said organically,
but I like it because that's what we've subscribed to. We're organic. You follow us if you like us. If you don't, that's fine. We're not for everybody. But that's what it's real, and I love it. So. Very freaking cool. Follow Ultra4Jones. Follow his story.
Yes.
You do post quite a bit on Instagram. Put up the Instagram stories if you want to follow along and see his journey to the hammers here. And then
Hammers 2021.
Yeah, we're looking forward to this, and I'm glad you're going to be there. Chris and I are going to be there regardless of this race is going to happen. I'm very optimistic.
If you see our race, we're the only race parked up in Hammertown.
Right. Well, if Hammertown is not there, we will be parked right in the center of the short course if that's the case. So we'll be there cheering you on, Kevin.
With Old Elk.
Hey, thanks again for your time. This has been freaking awesome and allowing us to invade your home and eat your food and all that good stuff. So thanks to you and your lovely wife, Mallory, here for hosting us today, and appreciate it, man. It's been fun.
Yeah, thank you guys very much, and hammer down to Hammertown.
I like
Boom.
it. And with that,
we're out.